For over a decade, John Cena was the top guy in the WWE. But during his meteoric rise, he crossed paths with several wrestlers whose careers never recovered after losing to Super Cena. From getting lost in the undercard to getting fired from the WWE, this is what happened to every wrestler who was buried by John Cena. Kicking things off with none other than perhaps Cena's most tragic victim, Wade Barrett. In the summer of 2010, the Nexus was the hottest act in wrestling, and Barrett was their leader. He had the look, the swagger, and the presence of a future main event star. Even after the Nexus's infamous loss to Team WWE at SummerSlam, Barrett was one of the only members of the group who was still a big player in the company. By October 2010, Barrett was forcing Cena into the Nexus as his personal enforcer, making the face of the company carry his bags on national television. But then came Survivor Series, where Cena was supposed to help Barrett win the title from Randy Orton. Instead, Cena defied the stipulation, cost Barrett the match, and got himself fired. After this, Cena went full Super Cena and single-handedly destroyed the entire Nexus, ending his revenge tour by symbolically burying Barrett under a pile of steel chairs at TLC. Despite some decent momentum into 2011 and a run with the core, Barrett never came close to the main event level again. Barrett himself never forgot it. In multiple interviews, he made no secret of the fact that he and Cena had no love for each other. In 2014, he told a reporter bluntly, he doesn't like John Cena, and Cena doesn't like him. Reports later surfaced that Cena had been against Barrett getting a clean title run, and considering how that storyline ended, it's hard to argue the case otherwise. WWE gave Barrett second chances. The Bad News Barrett character in 2013 was entertaining. He won King of the Ring in 2015. But every time momentum built, creative dropped the ball or Barrett got injured. He chose not to renew his contract in 2015 and was officially released in June 2016. He returned in 2020, not as a wrestler but as a commentator. He's been on NXT, Raw, and SmackDown in that role ever since, and by 2026, he's become one of the sharpest voices on WWE TV. During Cena's retirement tour in 2025, when Cena said on Raw that he doesn't bury talent, he buries mediocrity, Barrett reacted with a meme on social media. But while Barrett never got his WrestleMania moment against Cena, The Miz did, and somehow that made things worse. In late 2010, The Miz was WWE champion. He'd cashed in Money in the Bank on Randy Orton, held the title through the new year, and was booked to defend it against John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 27. On paper, that's supposed to be the top of the mountain in the WWE. But in reality, it turned into one of the most humiliating nights of Miz's career. The match itself was a mess. It ended in a double countout, was restarted by The Rock, and then Cena lost anyway after Rock hit him with a rock bottom. Miz technically retained the title, but he looked like an afterthought in his own WrestleMania main event. From there, things got worse. Cena won the title back from him in a triple threat cage match at Extreme Rules, then beat him again in an I Quit match at Over the Limit. The Miz went from main eventing WrestleMania to a losing streak on pay-per-views to bouncing around the mid-card as a comedic figure with R-Truth by Fall 2011. To his credit, The Miz never completely disappeared. Multiple Intercontinental titles, a second WWE Championship run, and hey, look at who he's married to. Even though The Miz lost to Cena, he won in life. He's still on the roster, still relevant, and even teamed up with Cena in 2024, bringing his story full circle. But while Miz got a taste of the bright lights of WrestleMania, his former protege, Alex Riley's career, was nuked by Cena long before he even got a chance to make it there. When Riley turned on Miz in mid-2011, fans were genuinely behind him. It could have been the start of something special for Riley, but unfortunately, Riley ran into Super Cena. The story goes that Cena was ribbing Riley backstage at some point in 2012, the way veterans do with younger talent, and Riley didn't take it well. Arn Anderson later confirmed on his podcast that a story circulated about Riley being dismissive of advice Cena tried to offer, and that word got back to Vince almost immediately. Riley has spoken about it carefully over the years, never revealing specifics, but never denying it either. Whatever happened, the result was clear. Riley went from getting loud crowd reactions to losing matches on Raw to being shipped down to NXT. He tried to start a Twitter campaign to drum up fan support. He came back with a new look and got into a brief feud with Kevin Owens. But then injuries hit, and he was eventually released in May 2016. After leaving, Riley stepped away from wrestling entirely. He landed a role on the Netflix series Glow, playing a wrestler named Steel Horse and focused on acting. In 2025, Riley revealed on Instagram that he's dealt with functional neurological symptom disorder since he was a teenager. He's been public about his health in recent years while continuing to pursue acting. In 2011, Alex Riley had the fans behind him, but then one backstage incident changed everything, and he was never the same. But while Riley never got a real shot, Damien Sandow got one and watched it vanish in real time on live television. In 2013, the intellectual savior of the masses was one of the best talkers on the roster. When he won the Money in the Bank briefcase for the World Heavyweight Championship in July 2013, it felt like his moment was finally coming. Then, on October 28, 2013, after John Cena had already wrestled Alberto Del Rio in a grueling match and was dealing with an injured elbow, Sandow attacked him and officially cashed in. The crowd was electric. For a few minutes, it actually felt like he might win, but he didn't. It became one of the most notorious examples of Super Cena's insane powers. Sandow never recovered. His record across 2014 was 2 wins out of 46 matches. He spiraled through impersonator comedy segments, and the only thing that saved him creatively was the stunt double role alongside The Miz in late 2014. But even that reached a dead end. He never came close to the world title again. He was released in May 2016, left with a bitter taste for the entire wrestling industry by his own admission. He did a brief stint in TNA as Aaron Rex, won the Impact Grand Championship, then left when management changed. He spent time in Los Angeles pursuing acting, and landed some small roles. He returned to the NWA under his real name Aaron Stevens, worked as a wrestler, then a manager. He's made peace with the industry now, thanks largely to NWA. But before any of that, before Sandow, before Barrett, before anyone on this list, there was a man who Cena buried in a different way entirely. When Umaga debuted in April 2006, he was an unstoppable force. He steamrolled through the Raw roster for the better part of a year, building an undefeated streak across 34 matches. He was everything you'd want in a monster heel being built toward the title. That title was held by John Cena, and in January 2007 at New Year's Revolution, Cena ended the streak with a roll-up. The rematch was booked as a last man standing match at Royal Rumble, and in fairness, that match is legitimately one of the best of Cena's entire career. But after that, Umaga was never the same again. He got absorbed into a Vince McMahon storyline, lost the Intercontinental title to Santino Marella, and spent the next 2 years as a mid-card brawler. He had a solid IC title reign and some good matches with Jeff Hardy, but the aura of an unstoppable monster was gone the moment Cena dropped him twice in a row. WWE released him in June 2009 after a wellness policy violation. He spent the summer wrestling on the independent circuit. On December 4, 2009, his wife found him unresponsive at home and was pronounced dead at 36 years old. What Cena did to Umaga's booking wasn't malicious. It was just the standard formula of the era. Build the monster to beat him, but the monster never recovered. And then the monster was gone, way too young, with the story still unfinished. But while Umaga's story is heartbreaking, Bray Wyatt's saga is something else. A talent so special that even after years of poor booking decisions, he kept finding ways to reinvent himself, right up until he couldn't anymore. Bray Wyatt arrived on the main roster in mid-2013 with the Wyatt family, and the presentation was unlike anything WWE had seen in years. By early 2014, he was in a program with John Cena, and the storytelling was genuinely compelling. Wyatt wanted to corrupt Cena, to prove that the hero fans loved was a lie, to drag him into the darkness. It was the kind of feud that should have made Wyatt a top-tier star. Everyone thought Wyatt would beat Cena and establish himself as wrestling's next big heel. But then came WrestleMania 30, and Wyatt lost clean. And then the feud continued, and Wyatt lost again at Payback in a last man standing match where Cena buried him under a pile of equipment cases. After this, the losses piled up. The Undertaker beat him at WrestleMania 31. He got humiliated by The Rock and Cena at WrestleMania 32. Wyatt spent months lingering in the mid-card before winning the WWE Championship in early 2017. The Fiend character in 2019 was one of the scariest gimmicks in wrestling history. He won the Universal Championship. Then Goldberg beat him at a Saudi Arabia show in under 3 minutes with 2 spears. Creative kept stumbling over one of the most organically over characters WWE had ever had before he was released in July 2021. He came back in October 2022, and the crowd welcomed him like he'd never left. The Undertaker gave him a nod of approval on Raw's 30th anniversary. His last televised match was at the 2023 Royal Rumble, where he beat LA Knight. He was being set up for a WrestleMania 39 match with Bobby Lashley when he quietly disappeared from TV. On August 24, 2023, Wyndham Rotunda died of a heart attack at just 36 years old. The loss hit the wrestling world hard. John Cena posted that Wyatt brought the best out of him and that he was forever grateful for their time together. The WrestleMania Firefly Funhouse match, a surreal cinematic piece where The Fiend finally defeated Cena, now stands as the closing chapter of their story. The monster won in the end. What's left behind is a question that wrestling fans will argue forever. How much better could Wyatt's run have been with smarter booking? With every loss that deflated his momentum, a little bit of what made him special got harder to rebuild. He rebuilt it anyway, multiple times, until he couldn't anymore. But while Bray got his revenge against Cena as The Fiend, Ryback never got his, and spent the years since making sure everyone knew exactly why. Ryback's rise in 2012 was one of the fastest in wrestling history. By October, WWE put him in a Hell in a Cell match against CM Punk for the championship. That was supposed to be his night, but he lost after interference from Brad Maddox, which was supposed to be a temporary setback on the road to a title win. Unfortunately, that win never came. At the 2013 Royal Rumble, Ryback got eliminated by Cena. After that, he turned heel and got booked against Cena for the WWE Championship across multiple pay-per-view matches and lost all of them. After the feud ended, Cena moved on and Ryback slid down the card. He got Paul Heyman, got a tag team with Curtis Axel, got the Intercontinental Championship, but he was always in the supporting cast from that point on. Behind the scenes, Ryback was getting angrier. He started speaking publicly about WWE's pay structure, arguing that mid-card stars who drew were paid a fraction of what top guys made regardless of their contribution. Management didn't appreciate a mid-card guy making noise about how the company ran its business, and Ryback and WWE parted ways in 2016. What followed was years of social media digs and bitter rants on podcasts. He went after Cena specifically, claiming Cena had talked trash about him backstage and sabotaged guys like Wade Barrett and Alex Riley, who he saw as threats. He wrestled a few indie dates through 2016 and 2017, but stopped entirely after that. These days, Ryback runs a supplement company and posts mukbang videos on YouTube. He still takes shots at WWE and Cena on social media when the mood strikes him. When Cena said in 2025 on Raw that he doesn't bury talent, he buries mediocrity, Ryback was one of the wrestlers the line stung the most. The thing is, there's a version of Ryback's story where he became WWE's next big powerhouse. Instead, he became the wrestling version of a bitter ex. And Ryback isn't the only wrestler who kept digging his own grave after getting fired. Matt Riddle has been following a similar trajectory. And if you want to find out what Matt Riddle is up to today, check out this video next.